Tonight, National Security Minister Herman Gill Francis says it's a hard no to ICA taking 50 pounds of cannabis to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Aaron Alexander responds to the minister, calling him a proven failure and telling him to have the courtesy to respond officially. And a call for understanding toward the mother who dangled her baby over a balcony. The details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Wednesday, the 5th of May, 2021. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. A special hello to our viewers on our free-to-air digital antenna. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. The Minister for National Security, Herman Gill Francis, has issued a response to the Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari, ICA, on its request to take cannabis to St. Vincent and the Grenadines as part of a humanitarian effort. The minister told Hot 7 TV News that while it is commendable that ICA is seeking to address the plight of regional neighbors, the request is outrageous.
The Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari recently wrote to the Minister of National Security, Herman Gill Francis, requesting permission for 50 pounds of cannabis to be donated to the Rastafarian community in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In the letter addressed to Minister Francis and copied to the Prime Minister, the Commissioner of Police and Customs, ICA made the case that in St. Vincent, the rights to use cannabis for religious rites have been permitted, therefore they would simply be assisting their regional brethren. On Tuesday, in a sit-down with Hot 7 TV, Minister Francis explained that there is no way that such a request would be approved.
I must say that I was pleased to see some of the things that was on it, in that they were selling supplies of food and medicines, toiletry, clothing, and sanitary products to their counterpart in St. Vincent. But when it came to the cannabis, I mean, that is a no-no. The government cannot give permission for something like which is illegal in our country. We know St. Vincent has legalized the use of marijuana for medicinal purposes. It has been done for religious purposes and so on. And we are in the process of dealing with our situation in St. Lucia. I've said at other places that this Minister for Home Affairs, Justice and National Security, has been in the forefront.
He says while St. Lucia is steadily working towards decriminalizing cannabis, the law still stands.
What we need to understand is that there is a law in St. Lucia, and the law prohibits the use of marijuana, the planting of marijuana, and so on. The legislation is with the Attorney General, and soon, and I hope very soon, that this legislation will going to come back to Cabinet so Cabinet can make a final decision. But persons must understand that there is a process and we must adhere to the process, regardless of our beliefs.
He says there has been no contact with ICA, but it is simply outrageous to think that permission would be granted for such an initiative.
I have not written back to ICA, but I intend to do that. I have not. And I think maybe sometimes people tell you that silence is golden, and you would have realized that because of the and there was a date that was given that I should have replied by. And so I think they should have taken that as a no.
ICA will soon undertake a humanitarian mission to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, taking along donations of food items, medicine, clothing, as well as sanitary products. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Meanwhile, the ICA president, Aaron Alexander, was not pleased to learn through our newsroom that the National Security Minister is not considering the request to take 50 pounds of cannabis to SVG as part of a humanitarian effort. Alexander says the minister has proved ineffective and unreliable following his political promise to decriminalize and legalize cannabis. He further argues that ICA deserves the respect of a formal response from the minister. Nisha Charles reports.
President of the Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari, Aaron Alexander, has asked the National Security Minister to put into writing his decision to not allow the organization to transport cannabis to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. ICA recently wrote to Minister Herman Gill Francis requesting an exemption to send cannabis to St. Vincent and the Grenadines as part of a relief supply. So when ICA's president heard that the response from the minister was not favorable, his rebuttal was forthwith.
Many people find themselves in a situation where they are afraid of their own self. They afraid to voice their opinion, especially in writing. You know, because tomorrow they'll be held accountable and say, hey, look, this was their response. So they don't want to be in that position. So they just want to talk loosely and pray that people don't remember what they say. And also, people will not hold them to it because they could always say, no, that was not what I said. You know, where's the record? Where's the proof? But when you write, there's a proof, there's a track record. And they don't want to have that, you know, next to the name that he's the one who sent that letter and said no to us to bring our sacrament to the brothers and sisters in St. Vincent. And I challenge him to give us that in writing. Give us that no in writing, Mr. Minister. Write that for us. We wrote to you boldly because we are not ashamed of cannabis.
Alexander said that as a point person for the decriminalization of cannabis, the National Security Minister has been an utter failure on cannabis issues.
It's a real colossal failure when it comes to the whole cannabis issue in St. Lucia, that this administration has failed miserably to deliver. And it happened under his watch. So when we have a humanitarian situation and where people are suffering and people are looking towards their the deity, you know, the person that they worship in truth and in righteousness, and they have no use of the sacrament because it's not available, and another country can provide such assistance, and for a minister to come out in such a way, really showing no regard for the humanity of things.
As the move to decriminalize cannabis across the world has become more prevalent, St. Lucians are seemingly supportive of ICA's request. Alexander said that he's not surprised.
Public opinion in favor of such positions have been growing for some time. And yes, you will find one, two persons who may say something negative, and then you find persons may say, oh, well, the organization is damaged because persons say, respond negatively to the whole question of cannabis and so on and our request. But public opinion in favor of such things have been growing for some time. Our people are no longer ignorant as they used to be maybe 10 years ago. There's a whole lot of information. I mean, we're looking at the World Wide Web, you know, where people could get information at their fingertips. So people are very much more educated on this issue, and the vast majority of solutions are in favor of a legalized regime or a decriminalized regime.
In the letter dated Tuesday, 27th April, Alexander disclosed that local Rastafarians intended to send food, medicines, toiletries, clothing, and sanitary products along with the cannabis. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Members of the public chimed in as to whether they believe an exception should be made for the Rastafarian community in St. Lucia to provide cannabis as a sacrament to the Rastafarian community in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Cannabis is illegal in the neighboring territory.
The Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari has requested that the government of St. Lucia allow them to export 50 pounds of cannabis to their Rastafarian brothers in St. Vincent. Albeit illegal in St. Lucia, ICA has made the case that the whole has sacramental values and their religious values should be a point of consideration. So we asked members of the public whether they share the same sentiments and believe an exception should be made. Let's hear what you had to say.
Yes, I don't see a problem in it. Because to me they just use it in worship, right? Yes, I think they just use it in worship, to chant, whatever not. So if it's vital for their worship, then I think they could help out and do that.
That's a good idea to send the weed overseas because you know the volcano the weed already, you understand? So it's a good idea, yeah. It's a good idea.
I don't agree. You know, it's illegal. It's illegal, and you can get permission to traffic illegal things that are legal. I mean, it's like asking you permission to break the law. You know, so I cannot agree to that. You know, it's illegal. It's illegal.
Well, if it's possible to help them, yeah, that could happen.
First of all, I am not against marijuana. It's a very, very good herb if it is used in the right way. I am not for the smoking use of marijuana. But I cannot say what they're going to do with it. But Yes, I believe they could make an exception for sending it there, because there are people there who use it and their crops now are being damaged. It's just like if it was potato or sweet pepper or tomato.
And those were your responses. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzaga.
Those were your views. Thank you very much, Genevieve. Stay with us. Still to come, the Justice Minister comes to the defense of a mother who dangled her child over a balcony. Prime Minister Alan Shastney to meet with cruise industry executives in the U.S. And a shooting in Dennery leaves one man nursing injuries.